talkSPORT is your home in the UK for the NFL. I personally am the play-by-play guy for all of the international series games and for the Super Bowl. We broadcast games every single week. Sunday Night Football, we have deals with the Jaguars, with the Jets, and with the 49ers to broadcast their games as well. And, you know, we are your home on UK radio. And I think, honestly, in UK media, we do the most expansive coverage of the NFL, the brilliant stuff the guys do on the website and everywhere else.
Going to Super Bowls, always being a prominent and present.
Just refusing to let go, just hanging on to it for dear life. It's been
wonderful. You guys have had a big role in the contribution to the growth of the NFL in Europe.
That's too kind. And more importantly, that growth has led to, I would say, maybe the best international slate of all time, because we have got the announcement of the international slate for 2026. We are going to be in Melbourne for 49ers Rams week 1 of the season, which we already knew was the game. And we already knew that in week 3 in Rio, where Ollie Hunter on the other side of the glass is going to be for talkSPORT, that it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys. I suspect this Cowboys fan next to me.
I might be seeing you there, Ollie. I might need to learn a couple of those Portuguese words.
Yeah, I think. I'll take a play-by-play by you guys.
Hey, I'd love to jump in.
I'm done. It's happening. That was a signature on a contract, just verbally. Week 4, week 5, week 6, the 3 London games for this season.
Talk to me.
The Indianapolis Colts are the road team to face the Washington Commanders at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, if it's still a Premier League stadium at that point. They'll still play there, but good game.
Yeah.
I would say good game, not great game, but some superstars there. We didn't get to see Jaden Daniels in Madrid this year.
No, we didn't.
Washington coming back with that. They had a big draft this year. Indianapolis put up a monster performance against Atlanta in Germany this year. Jonathan Taylor with a hat trick.
That was a fun game.
That
was a really fun game.
Friend of the show, Jonathan Taylor, of course, my buddy. We hung out on Radio Row.
I should also note, when Washington first came to London in 2016, a young whippersnapper named Tesfatsion made his first trip to London, covering that game. Washington versus the Cincinnati Bengals.
The first ever tie in international game history.
It was. Yes. A lot of missed field goals.
Yeah, that was a weird game.
That was a weird game. But ever since then, I've been smitten by the city. So I'm very grateful for the NFL International slate. It's great to see Washington coming back.
There you go. Back-to-back games for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We already knew that was going to be the case. In week 5, they're going to face the Super Bowl champion from 2 years ago, Philadelphia Eagles. And we get a divisional matchup at Wembley in week 6 as the Houston Texans and that fearsome defensive line come into town to face the Jags at Wembley. Great games. Both of those, with the Jags being a competitor.
That's a massive divisional game there.
Really great games. And then on talkSPORT, we will also have for you, over the coming weeks, week 7, week 9, week 10, we will be in Paris, France, as the Pittsburgh Steelers return to Europe to face the New Orleans Saints. We'll be in Madrid again at the Bernabeu, where hopefully that place will still be standing after this summer, as the Cincinnati Bengals face the Atlanta Falcons. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase in town, Bijan Robinson, so many superstars in that game. The New England Patriots, fresh off their Super Bowl loss this year, will be heading to Munich, Germany to face the Detroit Lions. And then the Mexico game will be the San Francisco 49ers facing the Minnesota Vikings. That's been a playoff game in recent years. They've been 2 competing teams. A great slate of games. We'll have every single one of them live on talkSPORT. Super exciting.
Tremendous slate. And it's great to see it continue to expand. Great to see it returning back to Mexico after all the construction work that was being done on Estadio Azteca for the World Cup. It's great to see it back in Mexico, where it really all started, the international series.
Oh, that's a bit harsh on Toronto, but...
yeah, but you got Buffalo
the Bills
there.
going 5 miles up the road doesn't really feel like quite the same as going and playing in the Azteca.
Seeing it in Mexico at first, it really opened up the eyes of what is possible for this, and seeing it in London, being at Madrid with you last year as well. Funny story. I was sitting next to a woman. Her son happens to be the kicker for the University of Virginia, watching that Madrid game, which it wasn't the greatest of games, let's be honest. But
there were 4 goal line stops on 4th down.
It was really absurd game in overtime. It was like hard to wrap my head around what was going on in that game. Then it goes to overtime, and this woman, she's like, "The game's still going?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, Mas Fiesta." And I'm like, yeah, Mas Fiesta. So anytime I see overtime now, I just think of Mas Fiesta.
Mas Fiesta. I love that. That's now the official term of talkSPORT for overtime. Mas Fiesta. More party for everybody involved. And look, we are a soccer show here on the S Word. We wanted to bring you that breaking news, and look out on the S Word YouTube channel as well, because we do cover other American sports there. The NFL UK GM Henry Hodgson will be on H&J this afternoon. You'll see him on the station as well. And we're going to do an episode across the formation with me, Ollie, and Sam after the show, right in this very studio where we react to that slate of games. But it does bring us back round to that conversation once more of the 39th game of should the Premier League look to international expansion? Should there be a push with the growth of soccer in America as it is, with the 60 million fans there, with the Club World Cup, with the World Cup coming up, should they look at this as an opportunity and say, there's money to be made there? Let's stop the preseason friendlies in the heat and let's play a real competitive game of soccer abroad.
Soccer.
Yeah, I deserve that. I mean, you get for how badly you press the button, but
I would love to see a meaningful soccer match from one of the top 5 European leagues played in America. We tried last year with La Liga, and unfortunately it was nixed after the announcement. And Serie A also tried in Australia, and that was nixed as well. The pushback that has happened from Europe of moving one of these games to America or somewhere abroad is not well received here as it is in terms of Americans moving NFL or NBA games or MLB games to Europe or abroad. I would love to see it as a continued effort to push the growth of the sport, especially after the World Cup in the United States. And the facilities, the capabilities, it's all available there. The question I have is, would it be another game in the same way the NFL has added an additional game and potentially adding 2 games when it expands to 18 games? Would people want to do that in the Premier League to create that extra generated revenue so it's not a loss to home game?
Considering there's more talk about reducing the size of the Premier League when you consider that it's considered an advantage for Liga, for Bundesliga, that they have smaller divisions, less games in a season, that helps them in Europe, that helps them in international slates. Like, that feels more the direction the Premier League wants to go rather than actually expanding. I think with TV money nowadays, it should be more games, Mas Fiesta. That should be the absolute approach, because the fact is, you look at what the NFL are doing with their slate this year, right? Thanksgiving now has the 3 games on Thanksgiving. There's going to be a Wednesday game and a Friday game around Thanksgiving this year. The kickoff game this year is on a Wednesday, and then they're in Melbourne on Thursday, and then there are Saturday games, week 15, 16, 17, and 18, and all the way through the playoffs. They're like, more games, more days, more solo games, more TV revenue. Let's sell it to YouTube. Let's sell it. Like, they are like trying to find revenue from everywhere. And for me, it's almost why the Premier League feel like they don't need to do this. And for people who don't realise, the NFL makes far more money off TV revenue than the Premier League does.
100%.
We see the Premier League as the biggest league in the world, and financially it is a juggernaut, and viewership-wise, it is an absolute juggernaut. But the 3-year Premier League TV deal is the equivalent of a 1-year NFL TV deal. Like, they know how to make money, the NFL. And they looked at the American market and they went, how much true growth is there at this point? How do we keep our fan base expanding? How do we keep making more and more money? And they went and they looked into the international market. I believe that the Premier League, just whether that's because of ego or whether that's because they are right, that's a debate. But I think they're looking at it going, we're already expanding there. We're already making lots of money there. We're already selling our TV rights internationally. Why would we annoy the fan bases? Why would we annoy the teams? Why would we take regular season games there? I think they think they're above it. I'm not sure I agree with them, but I believe that's where they think they are right now.
But that's the biggest area of growth is still the United States. When over half the clubs in the Premier League right now are owned by American owners, when the biggest opportunity for growth is the United States media market rights, which should be coming up here in the next couple of years, why would you not want to take advantage of that by bringing significant games to the United States? We saw the
massive backlash against the Super League idea, right?
We did.
A huge amount of that backlash was aimed at American owners, because there was this idea that American owners don't like relegation. They want closed league like you have in the major sports in NFL, MLB, NBA, etc. They want to know that they've got a guaranteed amount of revenue. They don't. The
Premier League is essentially a Super League now because of American owners. You're bringing all the top players in the world want to play for the Premier League, and they're making the highest wages, the highest salaries. Why is that? It's because the injection of American owners. Yes, there has been club states that have been involved, taking over Newcastle and taking over Manchester City, but for the most part, the majority of these clubs are owned by American owners, and the cash and liquidity they're injecting into the Premier League is the reason why it's in this golden era period it's in right now. The financial means are because of American owners. So yeah, you can complain about the Super League and all that you want to, but these are the same people also on Twitter and social media saying that they should sign X player for 100 million quid. Where do you think that money's coming from?
I think for me, part of it is, you said something to me earlier today when I was complaining to you about that I think grits are one of the worst food in the world.
Get out of
And you said not all grits are made the same.
They're not. Not all grits are equal.
Not all American owners are equal either.
True.
FSG may sit there and go, well, we're a money-making exercise. We see this, we are investment bankers. We see this as a way of generating revenue. We care about that. We want to go and grow there. That's certainly the way they've approached things with the Red Sox. It's the way they seem to approach things with Liverpool. Other owners have tried really hard to ingratiate themselves into the culture, to try and act like they're almost not American owners, like they are going to. I think there would be such a huge backlash against this. I think a lot of owners would push back against it because they see it as like, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Don't ruin the relationships you've already got for the sake of what could be seen as a quick buck.
I get that part, but the complaint is that you want the fans to be able to enjoy these experiences and make sure that you don't take home games away from them. Tonight, there's a massive Manchester City Crystal Palace match happening at the Etihad. If you look at tickets right now at the Etihad, right now, there's maybe 4 or 5 sections that are actually sold out.
Mm-hmm.
The majority, you can find a seat pretty much practically anywhere you want to right now at the Etihad. And this is not an isolated incident in these kind of circumstances. When you're talking about a team that is competing for the Premier League title, when you're talking about the possibility that this could be the second to last home game for Pep Guardiola to cap off an incredible era that he's had at Manchester City, and that place is not sold out, how can you not think about the opportunity cost of what that one game could be? And I'm not saying it has to be a game in the run-in, but that taking away that one game and maximizing the opportunity of expanding that elsewhere, like you can't have it both sides. You can't say that you want to take away you're thinking about the sanctity of the fans. And again, I know a lot of these fans, I go to these communities, and I'm very mindful of what these clubs and what these games and what these matches, these moments mean for them. But if you're talking about places in which people aren't showing up and they're not selling out the stadiums, how could you not, as the Premier League, consider the other alternatives that exist if you did move this to Miami or New York, knowing that you could make a lot more revenue for this, and in turn, the club could then use that money to help with their financial issues that we're seeing all across the FA system.
Tell me this, though, and you've heard this, and I get frustrated with the NFL UK fan base, that slate comes out today, and I think that's 2 great games. Admittedly, people maybe don't want to see the Jags constantly, but fact is they're probably going to be here 3 times next year because of their new stadium. People will complain about it. Their team aren't playing, same team's playing again. Like, I think there is a level of complacency that I don't think is fair, considering that there are literally fan bases giving up home games to come abroad to try and grow the sport. But the fact is, that's because it's not a global sport. It is an American sport. It's literally called American football.
It is.
Baseball, you could argue, is a little more global. You've got a huge league in Japan, you've got all of Central America, but it's America's pastime. They want to try and grow into Europe. It's not a huge sport here, so that's how they do it. The NBA, again, big European league, but still not to the same level. It's not the same as bringing over live NBA games and having them here. I think that it's already enough of a global sport. I think MLS is already a big enough deal. I think the Premier League is already a big enough deal in America that they will look at it and go, you talk about opportunity costs. I think they think there's enough in the preseason friendlies. I think there's enough in the Club World Cups. I think there's enough in those opportunities. And maybe, I've always said the game to take abroad is the Community Shield, because that game is a trophy in as much as, an Arsenal fan sat opposite me can tell me it's an actual trophy.
I'll acknowledge it.
So it's meaningful, but it's also basically a preseason friendly. It's both things at the same time. You're not giving up a home game. It's in a neutral venue already. You're not giving up season tickets. Wembley's already been paid off as well, which is a big part of this, because the FA, it's why they brought semi-finals there. It's why they sell so many concerts, because they didn't pay off Wembley for almost 20 years it took them to do it, but it is now paid off. Those loans are done. So you can maybe afford to give it up. And maybe they get a bit of a revenue share. Maybe there's a kickback. That feels to me like the kind of thing you do. The idea of taking a regular season, regular home game, even if you're not selling out of your Man City. And are the Americans going to turn up if they are given Burnley, Crystal Palace? With all respect to those 2 fan bases, are the Americans turning up?
They turn up
are they
for a
selling out?
preseason game.
Are they selling out MetLife Stadium? Are they selling out Hard Rock Stadium? Are they selling out these 70,000, 80,000 seater enormo-domes to go and watch Scott Parker's Burnley take on Oliver Glasner's Crystal Palace?
In a stadium that typically would be in 10,000, 15,000, at most 20,000 seat stadium. I could have 40,000 people could show up for that. You'd have to have some sort of hook. I understand.
I think with the first time they have to take a big game, right? I think the first time you do it, Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, a big brand surely has to be the ones. Even if they're a road team, away team, depending on which side of the pond we're talking from, surely there has to be one of those teams involved. Otherwise, you're kind of killing yourself before you even start. And that's what La Liga tried to do, right?
Yes, they did with Barcelona and Villarreal. But the problem with there was how was the financial distribution going? I mean, obviously the fans were upset, and you saw the players protesting, and then it was nixed right afterwards. But the other parts of this too was, how do you break up the financial aspect of that? They were going to fly out Villarreal fans because that was a home game for them to the United States so they can experience and watch that game. I'm sure you'd have to do something similar for season ticket holders in the Premier League so they can experience that match and experience that moment. But from all the revenue that's generated from ticket sales, from everything that comes with it, the TV rights, where does that money get distributed? Who gets the allocation of that money? Because now we're talking about...
We're getting into World Cup territory. We're getting into
financial fair play and how that impacts what you do in the summer. And you know, you look at clubs like you talked about, teams that are battling relegation, that extra 10 million, 15 million is massive in terms of improving your roster.
To talk out both sides of my mouth when I say this.
Because you teased it by saying they should bring it here. They should bring it to the United States.
Look, the Jacksonville Jaguars... come and play a game here every year. They're going to play multiple games over the next 2 years while their stadium's redeveloped, the stadium of the future, as it is coming. That is what they've called it. That's not just what I'm saying. They released, there was conversation about why the Packers hadn't been brought over when there were still only 8-game slates, and why has nobody given up a game against the Packers? Why have they not given up a home game, etc., etc. We'd had 31 of 32 teams here, and many of them multiple times, and there've been this constant pushback about not having the Packers. The Jacksonville Jaguars released from when they'd started doing the international series, they released 10 years of information about the revenue of their biggest selling game of the season, the biggest revenue, the most ticket money, everything else. 9 out of 10 of them were Wembley. The only one that wasn't Wembley was when they got Green Bay and Jacksonville, because they know they can sell those tickets for 4 times what they normally sell them because it's such a big deal and Green Bay travels so well. But 9 out of 10 years, it eclipsed anything that they made while they were at home.
And you're not even talking about the merchandise. I'm always shocked about how much...
You're going to have to talk I don't want to keep picking on Burnley. You're going to have to talk a Wolves. You're going to have to talk a relegation-threatened team, or maybe a Bournemouth, a Brighton, a Brentford. Teams who are
Michael B. Jordan's part of
the
minority investment owners of Bournemouth. That could be a great fit. There's a lot of these American owners that would kill for that opportunity to do so. The thing that I find very funny is how I see more Jaguars gear in London than I do pretty much anywhere else outside of Jacksonville. But
maybe even in Jacksonville.
Yeah, probably. But credit to them. They saw the marketplace. They beat first to market, and now you have a ton of Jaguars fans here that spent a lot of money and follow the club. So that is the opportunity that exists for whatever that Premier League team is. And maybe that is the difference between you becoming a consistent relegation battled side that's bouncing back and forth from the championship in the Premier League to being a mid-table or potentially someone that can compete for a European spot.
And listen, there's part of this, back to talking out both sides of my mouth, there's part of this that I do think football fans are too myopic about this stuff. I obviously think that way because I love the NFL and it comes over here and I commentate on it and everything else. Trust me, if you decided you wanted to, make your family holiday that year to go and watch your team play abroad, if you knew the revenue that was coming in, if as a season ticket holder you got some kind of deal on it and everything else, you're going to have the time of your life. It's going to be the best occasion of going to watch your team. It's going to be sensational.
Go to Miami. Go to New York. Have a ball. Have a blast. Spend the whole weekend. Bring the fam.
Go to the Hard Rock Stadium. Enjoy Miami instead of another cold November afternoon at the G-Tech. That's what I'm saying. Like, I do totally get that. I just don't see football ever doing it. As much as I think they should, I just don't think they
I try to argue it for about 20 minutes now, and I'm right there with you. I don't know if it ever happens, but
we are just defeated men.
I would love for it to happen, but I'm also being mindful. The more time I spend around Arsenal season ticket holders and season ticket holders of different clubs all over Europe, I understand their ire of potentially missing out on these core memories that they've shared for generations that could be potentially, for even one time, being taken away from them.
Beautiful stuff. Look, maybe we just wasted 20 minutes of everyone's time.
We did.
But it was entertaining.
At least the NFL's coming to Europe.
Yeah.
Mas Fiesta.
Mas Fiesta. We will be there at every game with talkSPORT. You'll get great coverage across the S Word YouTube channel and of all of the other action going on.